Operation Mincemeat, the dead man who fooled Hitler. The strangest spy story of the Second World War begins with a question so cold it sounds impossible: could a dead man deliver a lie? Not a coded radio message. Not a rumor whispered through an agent. A body. A uniform. A set of letters. A false life built carefully enough that enemy intelligence would mistake it for reality. By the end of this episode, the mystery is not whether Operation Mincemeat happened. The verified core is real, documented, and discussed by museums, archives, and historians. The real mystery is why the deception worked. Because the plan did not depend on one dramatic trick. It depended on hundreds of tiny believable details, and on the dangerous human habit of seeing exactly what we expect to see. The year was 1943. Allied forces were preparing to invade southern Europe. Sicily was the obvious target, and that was the problem. If the Germans concentrated forces there, the invasion could become far bloodier. British intelligence needed a way to make the obvious target look less obvious. They needed Germany to believe the Allies were aiming somewhere else, such as Greece and Sardinia. The plan that emerged was both brilliant and grim. A corpse would be dressed as a British officer. Fake documents would be placed on him. The body would be released from a submarine near the coast of neutral Spain, where officials and German-linked intelligence channels might discover the papers. If the documents looked accidental, they might be more persuasive than any message deliberately leaked by a spy. This was the first reveal: the body was not just a prop. It had to become a person. The false identity was Major William Martin of the Royal Marines. He needed rank, a history, a reason to be carrying sensitive papers, and the small clutter that real people carry without thinking. Tickets. Receipts. Keys. A photograph. Personal letters. Even a romantic backstory. That phrase, pocket litter, sounds almost trivial. But in espionage, trivial can be decisive. A perfectly clean fake would look fake. Real lives are messy. Real wallets collect evidence. So the operation built a life through fragments, enough paperwork and emotional texture to make Major Martin feel like someone who had existed before the enemy ever opened his briefcase. The second reveal is where the story becomes cinematic. The corpse was transported by submarine, HMS Seraph, and released into the sea near Huelva, Spain. The hope was that Spanish authorities would recover the body, inspect the documents, and that the information would reach German intelligence. Every step depended on probability, not certainty. The sea could damage the evidence. Officials might return the papers unopened. German agents might dismiss them. One suspicious clerk could ruin everything. But the bait was designed with a deep understanding of psychology. The documents were not screaming, "This is the plan." They implied a secret. They were framed as private military correspondence, the kind of thing an officer might carry in a chain of command. That made them feel accidental. And accidental evidence often feels more trustworthy than a message someone clearly wants you to believe. The midpoint twist is that Operation Mincemeat worked partly because the target was already tempted to believe it. Intelligence is never just information. It is interpretation. German analysts had to decide whether the papers were genuine, and the deception gave them a story that fit strategic anxieties. If the Allies might attack Greece or Sardinia, Germany had to respond. The fake evidence did not create fear from nothing. It redirected existing fear. That is why the operation is more than a clever wartime anecdote. It is a case study in how belief is engineered. The British did not simply forge a document. They forged context. They forged inconvenience. They forged grief. They forged ordinary details around extraordinary stakes. Responsible history also has to separate the verified core from the myth. Operation Mincemeat did happen. Major William Martin was a false identity. The body carried planted documents. German forces were misled about Allied intentions, and Sicily was invaded in July 1943. But the exact weight of the operation among all Allied deception efforts is still something historians discuss. War is never moved by one trick alone. It is moved by logistics, code breaking, air power, geography, leadership, and chance. Still, the payoff is powerful. A dead man became a messenger because intelligence officers understood that humans rarely judge evidence in isolation. We judge the story around the evidence. We ask whether it feels natural. We look for small imperfections. We trust the note that appears to have been found by accident more than the announcement shouted from a stage. There is also an ethical shadow here. The operation used a real human body. For decades, the identity of the man used in the deception was debated and handled with varying degrees of certainty in public accounts. That matters because the story can become so thrilling that it erases the person underneath the legend. Brain Unbound should not treat that lightly. The operation was ingenious, but also a reminder that war turns even death into strategy. The final twist is this: the most convincing lie in Operation Mincemeat was not the military plan. It was Major William Martin himself. A person who did not exist had to look more real than a forged order ever could. His pockets had to speak. His relationships had to imply a past. His corpse had to make the enemy believe they had found a secret that was never meant for them. And that is why the story still feels modern. Today, deception still works by surrounding a claim with believable context. A fake screenshot, a staged leak, a profile with tiny human details, a document that looks too boring to be false. Operation Mincemeat shows that the strongest lie is not always the loudest. Sometimes it is the one that arrives wet, damaged, personal, and apparently accidental. A body drifted to shore. A false identity opened a door. A planted letter helped point an army in the wrong direction. And somewhere between paper, saltwater, and expectation, history turned on a dead man's pockets. Subscribe to Brain Unbound for more strange true stories from the edges of history, science, and the human mind. One more layer matters here. This story is not powerful because it is strange on the surface. It is powerful because it shows how real history is shaped by evidence, pressure, interpretation, and the details people choose to believe. The safest version is not the loudest version. The safest version keeps the documented core, admits uncertainty, and still lets the mystery breathe. That is the Brain Unbound lens: no cheap certainty, no fake supernatural answer, and no filler. Just the eerie place where human behavior, historical evidence, and consequence meet. There is also a practical lesson in the design of the operation. The planners did not rely on one spectacular forgery. They built a trail. A body in uniform. A route through Spain. Papers that looked important but not too theatrical. Personal items that made the false officer feel inconveniently real. Each detail was small enough to disappear into the background, and that was exactly why the whole story became convincing. The deception worked because it respected how suspicion works. If something looks designed to persuade you, you become careful. If something looks accidentally discovered, damaged by seawater, and surrounded by ordinary human clutter, your guard can drop. Operation Mincemeat turned that weakness into a weapon. It made the enemy feel like they had stolen a secret, when in fact the secret had been built for them to steal. And that is why this case still feels alive. It is old, but the mechanism underneath is modern. Belief changes what people notice, context changes what people trust, and a single story can move through a crowd, a city, an intelligence office, or even a war.